So your landscape went to pot this past winter? Well, let me help you out. I'll give you a good swift kick in the plants. Who wouldn't love a container like this? And early spring containers are a great idea. I think the whole idea when we put these containers together is to work from the center out. So we're thinking brash and flash and splash. Always working from the center to the outside. Thriller, filler, spiller. And in this case, this foliage plant, this red tie plant, whoa, what a kick in the plants. We've got some ranunculus, some primrose, some polka dot plant or ivy that will provide the spiller or the splash. Or maybe we do a little bit of scheming and we choose a container like this. I love crotons in the landscape, indoors and out. Now it's not hardy to Michigan frost, but we can slide this pot inside on chilly nights. Our pansies are very, very hardy and frost tolerant, and then we have the ivy. Now we can use herbs, we can use foliage plants, we can use succulents, and of course don't forget in early spring in Michigan, there are great cool season plants. Take a looky. For example, sweet alyssum, pansies, and lobelia. Some people call these cute little guys Johnny Jump-Ups. They're violas. All of these plants, even geraniums, are pretty tough in early spring, tolerating light frost. However, we've got to start with the right kind of pot. And in early spring, I like to use a lightweight plastic pot. Want to make sure the pot has drainage holes, but if it's lightweight, then on a frosty night, we can drag it back into the garage or under cover if the temperatures are going to get too cold. So don't skimp on the soil media. It's a dirty job. Somebody's got to do it. So here's what we're going to do with this pot to save a couple bucks, first of all, and keep it lightweight enough so we can move it. We're going to take an inexpensive clay pot and we're going to put it in the bottom of the pot, like that. And then we're going to plan for our landscape, and we went out in the nursery and we found a beautiful spring bloomer, a forsythia. And we're going to set that right in the center of the pot on that dummy clay pot, which helps fill the container. After that, we'll fill with soil. Alright, so with this spring container, we're doing the same thing here. We're going to splurge in the center. And we're actually giving this real forsythia plant that we're going to put later in our landscape a little boost with some silk flowers, but don't tell anybody, okay? Silk flowers are relatively inexpensive and they hold up well to the weather and really gives us a splash of color on the front porch. What I'm doing is I'm putting some ferns here. You can splash some of these in there, a sunny frost-tolerant pansy or a citrus mix. And then along the edge we could also choose, for example, some primrose, and put those along the edge for a splash of color to pick up the yellow in that forsythia, or some variegated ivy, again considering focal, filler, and edger. But if you want really great results through the whole season, I recommend using something like Osmocote. This is a fertilizer that's fabulous. We incorporate it into the soil and it feeds for up to 6 months, so you don't have to worry about feeding these plants. I also like mycorrhizae. It's a fungus and it helps colonize soil roots. This is a great thing to use too. Or one of my secrets is azomite. 77 different minerals in azomite that we add to the soil for great healthy plants or for soils that are that need to be replenished. So make sure you're branching out when you put your spring containers together, and remember what we're going to try to do is flatter, smatter, and splatter. And one of the things we can do to flatter, it's inexpensive and easy. Go out into your landscape, cut some branches, like these willow branches. You know, when we last met at Christmas time, we used birch branches or gold twig dogwood or red twig dogwood. Well, in this case, some willow branches or some branches from a 9-bark. Other plants that we find in our landscape would be great to add to containers to add some height and some interest, and they're obviously frost tolerant. We can pull them out later when we plant up the containers with something else later in May. So get out in the landscape, go to pot, and plant up an exciting container thinking thriller, filler, and spiller.